I hit the reblog button automatically and scroll on. I do like this image, but I don't exactly enjoy it. Warm and cool shades of pink buzz obnoxiously against one another. I assumed the inviting sheet cake was generic, but it bears a confusing expression, existential crisis, scrawled in infantile, colorful frosting. The peripheral objects take form as strange things tucked away in a bedroom closet. The fabric backdrop looks like articles from a little girl's dress-up box. On the far left, a blue teddy bear holds a Victory brand candy cigarette box that actually reveals a tobacco cigarette. Resting on a peach-colored magic date ball is a hot pink semi-transparent dildo with a happy face ring placed over the clitoral stimulator. This is the stuff that accumulates in an adolescent girl's bedroom closet. Saccharine keepsakes of her childhood intermingled with secretive treasures signaling an impending adulthood. Two ambiguous hands reach into the frame, sure to meet one another in this garish scene. Artist Hobbs Ginsberg made that photograph in 2014 as part of a series of 12 still life photographs titled Still Alive. Ginsberg is now 22, living in Los Angeles. Ginsberg is better known for her selfie and portraiture work, focusing on marginal visibility. Ginsberg calls herself a low-key sad girl. The term girl embraces vulnerability and emotionality archetypal to young American women. The artwork that Ginsberg and her cohort produce has been called the teen girl Tumblr aesthetic by Hyperallergic. It's been called Tumblr feminism by Dazed. Just this week in Huffington Post's Culture Shift weekly newsletter, this work was described as full of glitter and goop. HuffPost commended the girls for their use of menstrual blood alongside girly accessories. But these writings are dismissive. They trivialize any critique actually being made by the artists. Instead, they focus on the outfits of the models, the personalities of the photographers, and the visual frivolity of the image. But if we consider these images more deeply, if we perhaps credit these artists as doing more than making shiny and pretty pictures, we see a melancholic investigation moving from adolescence into unstable adulthood. Ginsberg began her internet-based art practice in the post-2008 recession economy. This economic and social context characterized Ginsberg as a millennial. These categorizations are classed, problematically assuming access to technology and to the mainstream job market. The phrase millennial is also exhausted. Often millennial is used pejoratively to address tech-happy, self-indulgent young people. In this project, I continue to use the term millennial in hopes of situating this dialogue in a specific cultural moment and age group, but I acknowledge that this language is clumsy at best and vicious and homogenizing at worst. Still Alive reimagines still life for a millennial moment. Ginsberg's images celebrate the meager materials afforded by an unstable economy and simultaneously critique the packaging of femininity. Designing these images to be circulated for free on Tumblr obstructs their ability to be purchased, but these images are still entangled in capitalism and privilege as they rely upon expensive technologies to be produced and digital literacy to be accessed. Still, Ginsberg's artwork exhibits self-aware optimism. She dares to make aesthetically satisfying and expressive artwork that panders to and celebrates the archetypal feminine motif. But Ginsberg does not allow her images to be beautiful. They are too bright, they're too colorful, they're too busy to be easily consumed. Ginsberg engages the still life genre as a platform for beauty, but subverts that agenda with ungraceful scenes. In a personally conducted interview, Ginsberg shared that she was not looking at specific images of still life when producing this work. Instead, she drew from iconic associations of the genre. What everyone imagines when you think of still life, like grapes on a dark table. The still life genre developed as an appreciation for materiality afforded by Northern Europe's colonial expansion in the 17th century. By materiality, I mean the most direct earthly properties of an object: the haloed sheen of a crisp grape peel, the subtle translucence of pomegranate seeds clarified by light, the soft powdery folds of heavy table linens. These luscious materials were obtained through wealth, and thus a celebration of materiality was a celebration of economy. Imperialist traders imported exotic fruits, animals, and plants to Northern Europe, leading to unprecedented economic growth. The benefiting middle and upper classes commissioned still life paintings to pictorialize their new opulence. The still life painting operated in two key ways. First, the subjects and rendering of the painting reflect a timely social appreciation for materiality. And second, still life paintings became esteemed cultural artifacts with high capital value. In other words, the goods in the painting were expensive, the painting itself was expensive to commission. The featured objects were the resulting splendor of economic gains, and the valuable paintings perpetuated the accumulation of extravagant goods. Not only were these things expensive, but also the implied owner of them has the time to enjoy his grand meals and appreciate these abundant paintings. The objects in Ginsberg's photographs also require time to enjoy them, but these comforts are acquired cheaply. This image shows provisions for a bath, complete with skin-treating products, fresh fruit for snacking, and a whimsical pink marabou fluff reminiscent of a lady's fine mid-century house slipper or robe cuffs. This scene implies an indulgent afternoon in, soaking and relaxing. Bathing is an opportunity to enjoy stretches of time, but it is also a cheap way to luxuriate. While Still Alive is an inexpensive imitation of Dutch still life, I hesitate to call it parody. There is something genuinely celebrated and aesthetically engaging with these images. There is a sense of care to the indulgence offered, that the viewer deserves to take a bath, that the viewer deserves to see lovely images. The colors, lighting, and thoughtful arrangement satisfies an artistic impulse and consumption. And yet, the bright and cool lighting that emphasizes the vibrant colors of the objects simultaneously gives away the flatness and cheap production good of the objects. Consider this image from Still Alive next to the still life by Jan van Huysum. Van Huysum's tonal rendering produces a sense of depth, allowing the eye to roam over plenty, placed in a densely populated frame. The objects in Ginsberg's photograph appear dominant due to close cropping, not because the objects are abundant. Similarly, the objects in Ginsberg's photographs are artificially colored. The pastels of the beauty products are garish and synthetic. Even the strawberries are a kitschy candy red, lacking the tonal range of the organic material featured in the painting. Although Van Huysum is rendering his still life from paint and Ginsberg is working with photography, she certainly has the option to light her scene differently or alter it in post-production. Instead, she deliberately lights it brightly, elevating the showy color palette while revealing the cheap production value. The photographs from Still Alive are unapologetic to the poor quality of the objects featured. The negative space of this particular photograph isolates the composed scene. Unlike the full-to-the-brim Dutch still life, this photograph produces singularity, as if the indulgence of a bath is not always an option. This note of criticality complicates the ability to simply consume Still Alive as pretty pictures. This low-cost pampering and time-consuming activity suggests the position of the chronically underemployed. Underemployment offers long stretches of time, but lacks the resources to enjoy that time. Going on Tumblr is another cheap way to pass the time. Like other social media feeds, a Tumblr feed consists of blogs that the user follows, arriving chronologically in a seemingly unending stream. Creator of Tumblr, David Karp, has been adamant that Tumblr's design will remain minimal in order to focus on content rather than interface. But even with the promise for streamlined design and the seemingly simple operations of a scroll, Tumblr is an excessive experience. Forbes writer Jeff Bercovici describes Tumblr as far more sensory and emotive than other social media platforms. a swirl of photographs, songs, inside jokes, animated cartoons, and virtual warm fuzzies. Tumblr's discordant environment disrupts the ability to take in images fully. Ginsberg's still life compositions are mostly vertical, privileging the scroll of the Tumblr feed over the horizontal orientation of the computer screen. Therefore, Ginsberg's images are fragmented, depending on the motion of the user-operated scroll in order to be viewed. However, Tumblr is still a website based in acquisition. Viewers encounter, like, ignore, comment, reblog, and collect images for their own sites. This system replicates capitalist consumption for those without the means to participate in capital ownership. Deciding to recirculate these images digitally enters them into a millennial context for consumption. The cyber-utopian ideal that the internet is an accessible and democratic platform engenders a key tension regarding millennials. Turning to technology is not automatic. Turning to the internet only recently became an option. To turn to technology is limited, restricted to those with digital literacy and access to technology. Additionally, Ginsberg produces her photographs with a costly digital camera, a $1,000 laptop, expensive software, and a monthly bill for access to the internet. She is engaging expensive technologies and enjoying the products that they enable, while critiquing historical capitalist consumption and current economic instability. Ginsberg's photographs indulge and wallow in the material promise of the affluent still life and the patriarchal capital success the genre offers. Still Alive satisfies artistic exploration and gratification, but enjoying these images must be critical or risk repeating a cycle of girls vapidly consuming girlishness. Ginsberg's photographs are earnest about the objects that they depict and the skepticism they invoke. Ginsberg's artwork asserts that we deserve to critically indulge because we are not dead yet. We are still alive. Thank you.